Are you kidding me? But you can go put a gender bending for a 14-year-old boy, a bathing suit in the front of Target that helps him hold his package up so he can go to the beach and feel like a pretty girl. How about this? Let him just wear a regular girl's bathing suit. Just go, let his mama help him tape it up. Let's just be honest. It doesn't make any sense.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Family Business with the Alessis. I'm Steve Alessi, and today I'm with Mary Alessi, who is wearing a gorgeous jacket.
Wearing orange.
Yes, you're wearing orange. Mary, we're going to have a fun podcast today.
Okay.
What are we going to be talking about?
So I think this is going to be fun, but it's also going to be controversial.
Good.
So be preparada. Be prepared, because it is. We decided we're going to jump in the podcast and really talk about what's going on in the world. And I just want to run down some of the bullet points of stuff that we want to talk about so that our listeners know right away, this is what we're talking about on this podcast. Do you want me to throw the title out there? Or
throw them all out there. Just go for it.
So the title of this podcast is going to be Why We Are Not Proud.
Stop for a minute. If you can be offended, you will be offended. That's just a warning. This podcast may offend you. Go.
And that's okay. We can handle that. We can all handle our opinions and be grown-ups, okay? Right. So the title of this is Why We Are Not Proud of Pride Month, and we are embarking on that June 1st.
Say it again.
Why we are not proud of Pride Month.
There you go.
Things are off the rails. They're out of control. And us being a podcast about family, the nuclear family, raising good kids up, it's very concerning for us also in our line of work, what we deal with on a counseling perspective. We see the dark side of this. So we want to talk about it and how we can help families. So we're going to talk about what's going on with Target right now, the fiasco that is. We've been having so many conversations at home with our adult children and their friends about it. And boy, do they have opinions, which is very inspiring. And then how dangerous is this new transgender movement? Is it a movement? Is it a mission? Or is it just a phase? Is this the new normal? Right. We're going to talk about that. Is what's happening that's coming in so fast and furious, is this all about money? Or is this a new doctrine that progressives are pushing through? Which one is we can change, the other one is a little bit more dangerous. We're going to talk about that. Is this a war on women? Because you keep saying to me, when are women going to speak out? Why aren't women offended? We are, so we will speak out. Women's sports, how they've been impacted. It kind of started there. Who is behind all of this? And how did we go from a Pee Wee Herman scandal 20 years ago, who turned out to be a pedophile, to this in 20 years? And the most important question, I think, is how should we talk to our kids about what's happening? Good. So those are the things we're going to be diving in. And if you don't like any of that, you can turn us off right now.
Our posture is going to be this, okay? It's how do we respond to the culture the LGBTQ community is imposing on those of us whose biblical values say what they are promoting is wrong.
Exactly.
So we have to make a comment. We have to take a stand. We have to say, wait, we disagree with this. And the person itself, I mean, Mary, I can go down the street and have a disagreement with somebody about sports.
Right.
And it could be civil. I'm civil, they're civil. I can have a disagreement. I can disagree with you about places we need to go eat. And I could talk to somebody about, hey, I disagree. No, this restaurant's the best, or this pizza is the best here. We can have certain disagreements and they remain civil. What I'm troubled with is if a Christian whose values do not support the LGBTQ community expresses their values, the LGBT community turns around and wants to have a fight with us and call us names, tell us we're bigots, and we're made to feel like we can't even speak up, or we can't go to Target and say, hey, listen, that display in the front there that's promoting this not just alternate lifestyle, but now even satanic themes in it is offensive to me. Now, listen, I've gone to Target and I can't find the nice joggers that I want in the back. I can't find them.
You never can't find your
never
size.
find my size, but I can go there
Yeah.
in the display, and there's thousands of clothing right in the display.
No,
that's
right in the front of the store.
Yes, promoting this lifestyle of LGBTQ community. All right. So here's what we're doing. Our podcast, our mics, our table, our ministry, we're Christians.
Right.
And we do not support or embrace or celebrate anything that Pride Month is trying to get us to support.
Right. And more than get us to support, ram it down our throats and say, you must concede and you must celebrate. It's not good enough that you just leave us alone and let us be. No one's harming anyone. You have to accept who we are. And you have to celebrate who we are. Sit in it a little bit. Change your values for us because your values are wrong. Everything you've been taught about heterosexual nuclear family, all of that is wrong. And not only is it wrong, but you're evil for believing that way because the very fact that you say you don't accept us in our entirety, the whole alphabet group, then somehow we are bigoted, we are racist. We hear this daily from secular media. And the scariest part is how many Christians cave and feel like their voice can't be heard because if you speak out about it, you don't want to be associated as a racist or a bigot.
Right.
And that's what's so wrong. I can have an opinion and say something is wrong and not be a racist or a bigot.
Right.
Or a sexist.
Mm-hmm.
I have a right to speak. As the last time I checked the Constitution and our laws, I can still speak. I can't throw stones. I can't hurt anybody. Wouldn't do that as a Christian. But I do have the right to voice my opinion, especially my core beliefs and my core values, and teach our children the way that we believe. That's not illegal the last I checked. Now, I think they're working hard. The government's, right now, they're working hard at coming against parents. We heard our president just say it a couple weeks ago. They're not your children. Our children belong to the nation.
Nope.
That's very dangerous language for a president of the United States to say.
Yep.
And it isn't true. No. They are our children. So we can't be afraid to speak out.
Yeah. Well, Mary, the White House press secretary says the other day, jumping on the bandwagon of boycotting Florida more or less because it's
and the NAACP.
Getting in, and they say
the
travel ban. They support it because, and then she goes through a list of about 4, 5, or 6 different things that Florida is, bigoted, and Florida is anti this, anti that. Every one of these things that she said the White House was for, is everything. Christian values are against.
Absolutely.
And I'm listening to that and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
How crazy. So here's the point. We just want to come across in a way to express to our listeners that also call themselves Christian. It's okay for you to say, I'm not going to celebrate Pride Month.
Right.
Now, I'm going to say something here, and please, this is really kind of crazy, right?
Okay.
Maybe offensive. We had May was Mental Health Awareness Month, right? Because we have a mental health crisis in America.
And we do.
We do.
We do.
And if we go back and look at mental health crisis, I would not be surprised if a lot of those, and a lot of those that are confused, a lot of those who are finding themselves in chaos and mentally just going through it. Hey, maybe we wouldn't have a mental health crisis month in May if we didn't have a Pride Month in June.
Could very well be.
You're pushing down values that are not Christian values, and they will not lead you to health and well-being. Bible says, I wish above all things you'd prosper in health and even as your soul prospers. There's got to be a connection.
Yes.
There is a connection between your soul prospering and the rest of your life prospering. You cannot go right in life by doing wrong. And these principles that are being promoted by the LGBTQ community during Pride Month, they're not godly principles, and it's not going to lead to a good health.
No, and I would absolutely second that because you said the word soul. Beloved, I pray that you would prosper even as your soul prospers. What prospers in your soul? an anchoring, a hope, a solid foundation of who you are and whose you are. And mental health and that wellness or lack of health is really confusion and feeling lost.
Yeah. And
a sense of belonging. So if I don't belong here, maybe I belong there. Well, what we're learning that promotes dire mental health crisis, is a loneliness and a feeling of, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am. And what we're seeing more than ever is on our phones, we've talked about this before. We all know the problem. We all know the root of the problem. We've got just too much coming at us, and there's too many options. With that, your brain can't manage all of that. Mm-hmm. So now you've got a sick soul, and you're promoting a sick soul. Okay, so it's the chicken or the egg. What comes first? Well, in the communities that are trying to find identity in sexuality, find identity in attraction, there's no soulish health there, because unstable situations can't create a stable environment. Mm-hmm. So if you're still looking and you're lost, and you think this is going to help me, well, there's an instability in you until you find stableness, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, you can't expect instability to create stable things. An unstable person can't do stable things. Yeah. So it's a vicious cycle. The more a community gets promoted and forced down our throat, it's not a litmus test. Let's see how they do in 20 years. Let's see what this lifestyle promotes and creates. How much stability does it create for the children of that community, or the just the overall impact that it makes in the world? Right. Can we just wait and see? You know, everybody rejected COVID medication because we didn't have enough peer reviews. We didn't have enough time to prove. Well, but now we're shoving down a community that's changing the nuclear family, that's changing our economics, that's changing our values, chasing our children to give them way more options than they need, causing what? Way more confusion, creating a mental health crisis. Mm-hmm. But yet, to take hydroxychloroquine, it was banned. Vitamin C, because we don't have enough peer-reviewed articles, testing coming in. Well, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. But you can go put a gender bending for a 14-year-old boy, a bathing suit in the front of Target that helps him hold his package up so he can go to the beach and feel like a pretty girl. How about this? Let him just wear a regular girl's bathing suit. Just go, let his mama help him tape it up. Let's just be honest. It doesn't make any sense, because if you're going to do that, and this is where the confusion comes in, and where now you're saying mental health crisis in May and all this in June, you're right. Yeah. It's one's promoting the other. Because here's what I would say. You have compassion for that 14-year-old boy that's confused. You don't have compassion for that 35-year-old man that's confused, walking in to a rainbow-colored section that is attractive to little girls. Mm. It's so evil and demonic. How about you just sell it at the store, where if you want an adult toy, you go buy it? Why aren't those at the front of the store?
Okay, say that now. This is what you said the other morning, and I thought this was great. So you can't go into
Target
and buy
adult toys or women's lingerie or men's lingerie.
It's not in the front.
There's no.
It's in the back. Go to your section.
Why are there XXX stores?
Yeah.
It does not make any sense. But you're going to have this in the front that you're targeting to children with rainbows on it. Yeah. And then let's throw Satan in there too. And for anybody who's questioning us, just Google it. We're not talking out of things that you can check on Snopes and it's been...
Snopes?
No.
Snoops.
Whatever it's called.
Right.
You can look it up yourself. It will scare you what you're going to find that is happening right now in real time.
Okay, so let's talk about this, because...
Sorry, but I'm just...
That's all right. I think what we can say to parents that are in this environment with their kids, whose kids are maybe being taught this in school, seeing pictures and so on and so forth. Okay. I want to give them some things here. Yeah. Give me some tools. Give me a resource. Okay. First off, I think you need to do this. One, don't be behind.
Yeah.
Meaning, hey, wake up.
Wake up.
This is happening in our schools. Yes. Your kids are being indoctrinated.
Yep, they are.
Get ready. This is coming. Social media, you're not checking their phones. You're not looking at the ads. You're not seeing what the social media influence from Hollywood are doing. If you're not paying attention, man, you better wake up, because this is being crammed down our throats. for you to have to go to a stinking Target store and that's what you're met with. Here, they're saying, shut up. Your Christian values don't matter. This is what you need to be embracing. Right. You got to wake up.
You got to wake up. And you got to speak up.
Well, that's coming next, but just wake up. Talk to me about waking up. Why are parents lost? Why is moms not talking to their kids about this, Mary?
I'll tell you why. Because just like we're afraid to know when's the right time to talk to our children about sex in general.
Yeah.
And we're afraid to talk to them about drugs because we all have this fear, if they know, then they're going to do. The truth is, kids are a lot smarter than we think they are.
Yeah.
If you talk to them about it and you give them the absolutes before it's ever a question, it's when you leave them out there in random land, confused. That's what parents are for.
Okay.
Parents are to say, no, this is who you are.
Okay, stop for a minute because the school's already teaching them this.
I know.
They're teaching them to embrace this trans whole theology.
They are.
How pathetic is that?
Yes,
so if a parent doesn't wake up and say, wait a minute, I better say to my kid, listen, I don't care what Johnny's daddy does. No. Here's what your daddy does.
That's right.
I don't care what they do over at such and such a household, but in my household, this is what we do. We don't embrace that. No. That stuff's not normal. That's not who we are as people. You got to wake up, Mom and Dad.
Steve, listen. One of the young women in our church, she's been with us since she was a little girl. Her 4-year-old son came home and told her, my friend, who happens to be the son of the principal of this school, 4 years old, he said, my friend, Mommy, told me that boys can be boys and girls can be girls. I mean, you could be the opposite. Boys can be girls and girls can be boys, and you can marry whoever you want. 4 years old. Mm-hmm. Why is that 4-year-old talking about it? You know why? Because his mom told him.
Mm-hmm.
She got to him quick. And I hate this. I hate this for all the parents that have strong nuclear family values that are trying to protect their children.
Yeah.
I hate this for them, but they don't get the benefits that we got with our children 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They're going to have to talk to their children right now.
So don't be behind. Just wake up. Here's the other thing. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
You got to stand up.
That's right.
You got to be able to say, I'm willing to die on this particular mountain. And Mary, we say about our podcast that we get to talk about things here in the podcast booth that we don't get to talk about on Sunday.
Right.
We are very sensitive to our live audience because we know many of them have challenges in their past and even in their family as it pertains to this. We understand some work in an environment where this is being, again, so forced down their throat that you've got to be careful that you don't take a stand. I mean, I had to go through a class as a board member for the commissioners that in order to be a board member of a faith board for the county commissioners, I had to go into a classroom via Zoom on inclusion. I had to be sensitive to all of these things. And this is what some people are being forced to live with. You can't express your opposition. You have to go with the flow, right?
Right.
Well, there comes a time where you better just learn that, listen, the crowd's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
You're going to have to stand up and be a voice, a solo voice on this in your household and say, wait, this is not going to help you, hon.
No.
Look at your kids at a young age. You're going to see their friends. If you don't like the friends they're hanging with, you don't like the parents of the friends they're hanging with, then stand up and say something to your kids.
Yes.
Don't let them be eaten up by this culture that is a lot stronger right now because they've got a lot of the money that's being put behind this. They've got a lot of airtime. There's some powers at be here that we know ultimately comes from the very pit of hell.
It does.
That if you're not saying something, standing up for something, somebody is standing up and saying to your kids, this is the way that you need to live. So we need parents to have a backbone here and stand up.
We do. Well, this is about kids now. So what's next? Because in 2008, when gay marriage was passed, I believe it was 2008 or 2016. Someone can correct me on that, 2008. When that happened, so many of us as Christians said, well, we were fighting amongst ourselves with other Christians. You know, let them be. What's the big deal? We fought the battle long and hard. And, you know, we've got gay people in our church. And so there was confusion there. Well, now we know we didn't die on that mountain. are we going to die on this one? Because if we don't, what's next?
When they're coming for our kids.
Because this is about our kids now. This isn't about adults making decisions about who they love and who they want to marry. This is about our children. Our children, our grandchildren are now being exposed to this by walking into Target. Somebody just told me today that Dollar Tree is doing the same thing. And in the month of June, we're going to see it everywhere. If you go to Disney, it's everywhere.
Our police departments are going to have cars colored like rainbows.
So you got to tell your kids what the rainbow really means.
Yeah. So the powers at bay, they have have no problem standing up for what they believe.
No.
We have to stand up.
They've become masters at gaslighting. And we have to understand something. We have God on our side. And when we stand up for truth and we're not afraid, we don't have to do it with a pick in our hand or a poster in our hand. We don't ever have to get aggressive or violent or unloving. It is not unloving to say, I disagree with that lifestyle. It is not unloving to say that. That is my right to say that. That is your right to say that.
Yeah.
And it's not passing down hatred to your children to tell them, listen, we love everybody. And we're never going to exclude or be rude or mean or cruel to anyone. But as for me and my house, this is the lifestyle that we believe honors God.
Baby. When in 2015, that was the date we're looking at. Thanks, John, for this information. 2015 is when same-sex marriage was legalized in all 50 states of the United States. Look what happened when that was legalized. Look what door it opened up.
Yeah, 7 years later.
Crazy.
Just 7 years.
Crazy. So
what's next? That's why people need to wake up and stand up.
Oh, and we've all heard it. It's pedophilia.
It is. It's already
It's
there.
opening the doors.
It's
gonna get nasty. That's why, look, you may not be able to fight the big Goliaths of the country. Maybe that's not on you, Mom and Dad.
Right.
But you can fight in your home.
That's it.
With your kids, because it's all going to start in the home.
Can I say something really quickly here? Jordan Peterson has a whole new series on Exodus, and he's talking to all these Bible theologists. It's incredible. And this is why we as Christians need to speak up. We can't leave it to secular voices. To just do all our preaching. We have to do it too. But there's a statement that he makes that's so powerful, and he talks about how Moses had to make a choice. He either had to follow God or follow Pharaoh. And he couldn't negotiate with Pharaoh. He had to make a decision. It's either die or follow Pharaoh. Both of them lead you to the same place. And Moses had to not only make a decision for himself, but for how many thousands of Israelites? But Millions. They also, the children of Israel, had to make a decision to put, and this is in your Bible, you can read it, blood on the doorpost, and take their children inside. And as the death angel came over, it would know those that were believing in the promise of God to leave, to do something, not just protest Target and boycott Target, literally put their lives at risk to go to a land where they could have been consumed by the land. They had nowhere to go. They'd been slaves, and they had a lifestyle, but it was still one of slaves for 400 years?
Yeah.
And here comes Moses, and he's going to lead them out. Talk about trusting, not just to protest and speak out, but to say, we're going to leave this slavery that we've only known from our great-great-grandfathers on down, to leave, because it's better to be in the wilderness than to follow Pharaoh another day.
Yeah.
But they were willing to say, first, we'll take our children into our homes to be identified as the ones who are going to follow Moses out.
Mary, that's powerful.
But it was also not only to be identified, but it was to protect their children from the death angel.
Yeah.
So everybody saw the blood on the doorposts.
Mm-hmm.
The whole town, the whole city, all of Egypt saw the blood on the doorposts.
Yeah.
They knew. But yet God protected them. And that's what I'm saying. It's never going to be any easier than it is right now to take a stand.
Or any harder.
It's only going to get harder.
It's going to get harder. Which then means this, okay? Don't be behind, don't be afraid, but then don't be vague.
Yeah, with your kids.
You've got to speak up.
Yeah.
And get specific.
Yes.
Not all people are bad. Not all, God, the Bible says God came, for God so loved the world, not the perfect.
Right.
Not the person that's just in the church, okay?
Yeah.
The world, those that are outside the church. So we've got to be able to say to people, listen, they're good people. They're just wrong.
Right.
They're
It's just not right.
Bad choice.
Right.
And your choices are going to make up what your life's going to be like in the future.
Right.
This is just not us.
That's right.
So we've got to speak up. We've got to have the dialogue. We've got to have the conversation. You got to ask your kids what they're thinking about this. Right. You know, they're coming to youth group. They're hearing things. They come to church on Sunday. They hear things. Hey, what did you think about that message?
That's right.
What did you think about what Pastor Steve said or Gabby said or Pastor Chris or Pastor Barry? What did you think about that? Did you hear that? Have the conversation with your kids. And if you find that they themselves are off, your job is to help bring a course correction to them. You can help them with that.
Yes.
If you're not nudging them along, speaking up and showing them what is black and what is white, what is right, what is wrong, if you're not doing that, then you're leaving it very vague, and the voice of others are going to come in and cause them to be confused with their own thought process. I think young people are asking today, what is right?
Well, if you don't do it, you just said it. You're leaving them to be confused by the people around them in that world that are filled with nothing but propaganda. And you have to sit them down and trust God and trust them enough to say, we're going to talk about this right now, and have an adult conversation with your child. It's so awful. But you know what? When Martha and I were in the podcast booth a couple weeks ago, we said, everything's changed, but nothing's really changed. Because it's all changed as far as the fruit of what we're seeing in the world today. But the truth is, it's the same conversation our parents would have had with us if you had gone to a friend's house that smoked pot.
Yeah.
Your mom and dad would say, listen, we love their family, but you're not going over there anymore.
Yeah.
We don't smoke pot. They drink a lot. We don't do that. Nothing against them, but we don't do that.
Yeah.
A girl with a bad attitude. I don't like the way she speaks to her parents. You're not going over there.
Right.
Why? Because I don't want you talking to me that way. Nothing's changed, but everything's changed. But the conversation and the confidence of the parent is the same if the parent will walk in that confidence and not be intimidated by the gaslighting of this generation who's trying to force something through so fast and furiously that it's making our heads spin.
Yeah.
And the world's on fire. But you know what? Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Parents, get your wits about you. Be wise, be bold, sit your kids down and have a conversation. We don't embrace everybody. We never have.
Never have.
Especially while we're raising you. You're in a very vulnerable season, and this is what we know will bring more confidence and a sense of security to you. And what you don't understand right now, you will in the future. So that's it. Now, what's so scary, Steve, to those parents is how we're hearing in our government right now, they're trying to block parents from being able to speak to their children. Parents better fight against that and say, I'll take my kids out so fast. Watch what I will do. The kids are yours. They've always been yours. They don't belong to anybody but you. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, we are responsible. The government's not. We will stand before God and give an account.
Yeah.
So if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what else will. You're still responsible to stand up before God and say, either I caved because I was so afraid of what people in the world, who are you afraid of? Be bold, be strong. They're your children. You'll give an account to God for them.
Yeah. Yeah. School teachers want to say they're our kids.
No.
No, you're not only going to touch my kid, you're not going to touch them for a year and then hand them off to somebody else. And
we learned through COVID, you can take your kids out.
Oh, no way.
Take them out.
Yeah. Well, the church environment is a good place. Our church environment's a good place.
Yes.
As we try our best to be as healthy as possible, to be as balanced as possible, to not come across and beat people up, but to preach truth in love. And where's the love? It's that our arms are open on a regular basis. And yes, I've always said this about Christianity. The Bible says more or less, come as you are.
Yeah.
Right? But once you get locked into a relationship with God, now change.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's how it is.
That's how it is.
All of us come flawed. We come to God flawed, broken, messed up. And because we don't want to stay broken and messed up, we make changes in our life to start doing it God's way, the right way.
Yes.
So what we ultimately are trying to say today is, as a Christian, you have every right to be able to stand up and say, I don't appreciate, I don't approve, I will not celebrate anything that is pride related in the month of June. I don't do it. And it doesn't mean you're a hater.
No.
Doesn't mean you're a bigot. Doesn't mean you're a racist.
Or a sexist.
It means that you are a principled
right.
person that chooses to abide by biblical principles that speak very black and white about this subject matter.
That's right.
Quite frankly, Mary, when I open up my calendar, I don't like that I can't get rid of during the month of Pride. It's on my calendar in there. Not because I put it in there. They've made it a national holiday.
Yes, they have.
How pathetic.
Well, here's the irony and the hilarity of it all. We've been pastors for how many years? All of our lives. We've had people that have come to the church later on in their life and they've gotten saved and they've gotten, the experience of our church. How many times have we heard people say, man, my parents growing up told me church people were weird. My dad, my mom, man, I never even tried it because I always thought church people were weird. I always were told church people are hypocrites, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been indoctrinating each other since the beginning of time based on our opinions, right? Mm-hmm. Why is this opinion hate?
Yeah.
That wasn't hate. That was their opinion. They had a right to it and they were wrong. Later on in life, these people come, they go to church, they love church. It's not at all what they were told growing up, right? Mm-hmm. Or they were at the Catholic Church and they were told other churches are bad. Don't go to any other church but the Catholic Church. And then they tried it and they went, well, that was wrong. Why is that not considered hate?
Yeah.
But if we say as believers, we don't believe this lifestyle is healthy and good for you, it's labeled hate. There's a reason that it's labeled hate. It's because there is a mission that people don't necessarily see it until it's too late. There's an agenda to push this on our world because it will get worse. It will not get better. It will get worse. And anytime we go from hearing, okay, drag queens, transgender men, transgender women, we've had that for years. No one's ever said a word. But now the fight has become drag queen kids shows.
Yeah.
Okay, now the battle has begun. Stay away from the kids. Mm-hmm. The very fact that you are bringing kids into this conversation at all, from any point of view, is showing us, it better wake us up and show us that the agenda on the other side of this is about ageism. Parents need to know that, okay? I'm a product. People know my story, all right? We talk about, I don't know if we're over time. We're probably over time. Are we over time?
But keep going.
So this is the part we really need to be discerning and wise and wake up. Because the very near future is, and there's a term for it, it's called minor sex attraction. It's already out there. It's there, okay? You can look it up. There's a documentary right now all about Norway, and it's very long and involved, and it's the Norwegian government and how they have come into the home and they can take a child out of the home just because the mom left a spider web. I'm not exaggerating. You can look at the documentary. The BBC's all over it right now because the head of this child agency, who was considered the child expert, was found with almost innumerable amounts of child pornography on his website. Now, he's gone to jail, but this was the part that made me shudder. The men that were defending him said, you can be into child pornography and not be a pedophile.
Wow.
That is a belief right now from psychologists in America too. You can be attracted to minors. You can be attracted to people 30 years older than you, Martha Stewart, okay? But something is coming, and it's coming faster and more furious. If you think the drag queen kids show was all there was, wake up. It is not. It is out there. And right now, they're testing the water to see how we're responding to these drag queen kid shows. They're just waiting to see how we respond. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, although I do like conspiracies. But
UFOs.
I'm telling you, guys, this isn't conspiracy. And I'm not even saying this is a discerning thing as a Christian. It's for real.
Yeah.
They are redefining the language in our textbooks, in our psychological books that are for counseling and I can't even say the words, psychiatrists.
Yeah.
So there is a belief system, Steve, that you can be addicted to child porn, but you are not a pedophile. In what world?
Yeah. It's disgusting.
So this is why parents need to say, no more, this far and no further. Don't bury your head in the sand. It's coming.
Yeah.
No, it's here.
It's here. Well, this is why Mary is so good in these environments. I always tell her she can say things in a way that I can't, and I so appreciate that. So thanks for putting yourself out there today. I'm sure we're going to get a little hate on this, right. And that's fine. We'll just turn off the comments. No big deal. Oh. But this is where we stand. This is who we are. This is why we believe we're here for such a time as this. So
that's right.
We know today's podcast has been a blessing to you. So make sure you turn around and share it with as many people as you can.
Yes.
Because we've got to get the word out. We don't have to be proud of Pride Month.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us today.
Hey there, if you enjoyed this episode of the Family Business Podcast with the Alessis, then you'll want to know we've got more insight, more encouragement, more great conversations that we can have on Sundays, and even some surprises coming your way. So you want to make sure you subscribe to our channel and watch one of these next videos here next, because remember, family is everybody's business.